Alexander the Great, a man of great conquest, the man who redefined the world, ruling Greece, Persia, Macedonia, India, and a little bit of the Asia Minor. He also still had a little time for the ladies. This is Alexander the Great, conqueror extraordinaire.
Alexander was born in 356 BC in Pella, Macedonia. His father was Philip II, king of the Macedonians and conqueror of the Greeks. His mother was Olympias, a princess from Epirus, which is in western Greece. According to legend, Alexander tamed the untamable great horse Bucephalus, who carried him as far as India.
Well, Alexander had a very interesting childhood. See, his mother Olympias always told him that he was descended from the hero, Achilles. So, he always carried around a copy of the Iliad with him wherever he went. His father always told him that he was descended from Hercules also. So obviously, they had many expectations for this young conqueror. At age 14, his father hired Aristotle to tutor him. He learned about countries, people, plants, animals, literature, and of course about warfare. He was a very mature student. A strategist, and most definitely a leader.
When he was in his teens, Alexander met Hephaestion, who was to be a good friend and possible lover for 19 years. When Philip left on campaign, Alexander served as regent. By 18, Alexander commanded at the Battle of Chaeronea, bringing Greece under Philip's rule.
Charge!
This cemented his position as a leader and served him well when his father was murdered by one of his own bodyguards.
In 336 BCE, upon Philip's death, the 20-year-old Alexander was crowned king of the Macedonians.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Alexander!
Alexander!
You are great.
Only a year after he was crowned, Alexander fought in the Thracian mountains and on the Danube River, and he gained the Celts as allies. Due to a rumor of Alexander's death, several Greek cities, including Thebes, rebelled, but Alexander quashed those uprisings. Alexander then continued his father's plans for conquering the Persian Empire, leading his army in the Battle of Granicus River. This battle opened up the Asia Minor for his next conquest. Alexander next led his army to Gardion, where, according to prophecy, there was a complex knot. Whoever untied it would become the ruler of Asia. Alex tried to untie it, but instead, legend has it, he cut it in a single stroke. Or 3 or 4.
Hi, it's Sandy Sue, your neighborhood archaeologist. We're here in the Mediterranean looking for artifacts from Alexander. This is the actual school paper he wrote on when he was studying with his tutor Aristotle. And oh my golly bee! This is the actual sword Alexander used in the Battle of Issus. Alexander fought Darius I, king of the Persians. Alexander won, but Darius got away.
Alexander marched into Phoenicia to capture naval port cities such as Tyre. Unable to reach the Tyrian island from the sea, he built a causeway that still exists today. He used advanced weaponry that revolutionized warfare. The Tyrians surrendered in 332 BCE. Alexander then went to Egypt, where he was welcomed as liberator from Persian rule and subsequently crowned king. At this time, he also founded the famous city of Alexandria.
Though he was outnumbered, Alexander then attacked Darius's Persian army in the Battle of Gaugamela. Alexander triumphed, and although Darius escaped, his power was broken. With Darius in retreat and his army in disarray, Alexander attacked the center of Persian power, Persepolis. His troops looted the city of much gold and silver. Adding insult to injury, they then set Persepolis on fire. Alexander went to pursue Darius, but he had been killed by one of his own dissatisfied nobles, leaving Alexander as ruler of Asia. In 327 BCE, Alexander married Roxanne, a Bactrian princess.
Alexander conquered Persia when I was 16, and he took me as a prisoner of war. So I offered myself to him as a bride, and he accepted, and we married, but he didn't even love me. He loved Hephaestion, a male. How could he? I mean, he was handsome, but who can resist me? Okay. Well, anyways, Alexander only brought me sadness. I came with him to India, and I gave birth to a stillborn child. I came with him to Babylon, and he died. What an idiot. Okay, so he left me alone, and his political rival murdered me and my 13-year-old teenage son. Curse you, Alexander!
Hearing it was highly civilized, Alexander then turned his attention to India.
Hello again, it is I, Boris. It is good to see you, my friends. I have known Alexander a very long time. We've been very good friends. See, one day I was in the marketplace strolling when he showed up and tried to take over my country. So then I said, I'm gonna try and fight him, but you know, we didn't do so well because we had elephants, and you know, elephants aren't very good at listening to directions. So Alexander, he captured me, and he was like, how would you like to die, sir? So I said, oh, I would like to die like a king. So then he's like, okay, I'm a king too, let's be friends. So we've been friends ever since. Me and Alex are like, we're like really close. So yes, that is Alexander. I love him.
Alexander wanted to continue on into India, but his homesick troops refused. Many of his troops and nobles resented his adoption of Persian customs, and plots against his life began to appear. Adding to his troubles, his horse Bucephalus also died in the invasion of India. In 324 BCE, Alexander's close friend Hephaestion died, leaving Alexander bereft.
Alexander had a very interesting view of himself. He thought he was descended from a various number of gods, including the Greeks as well as the Egyptians he conquered. He also had a lot to live up to outdo his father, for his father, Philip II, had conquered the Greeks, and Alexander just had to be better. He had to outshine him. So, he went on to conquer everything from Greece to India. And in fact, at a dinner party, his best friend Cletus was defending his father's reputation, and Alexander got into a drunken quarrel and murdered him.
Alexander murdered his good friend Cletus, who had saved his life in the Battle of Granicus, in a drunken quarrel. Alexander's empire now stretched from Greece to the Indus River, but conquering was not enough. He had to come up with a system of administration. He established his capital at Babylon and encouraged, without success, trade between the Persians and the Macedonians.
As a result of exhaustion and battle wounds, Alexander became seriously ill with fever. He died at age 32 on June 10, 323 BCE. His territory was split among three generals, Antigonus, Ptolemy, and Seleucus. His empire was never again unified, but Alexander did succeed in spreading Hellenistic culture throughout the Mediterranean.